there's something wrong with my baby. You have a look at her and you tell me if there's nothing wrong with her. And she checked her all over and she did reflexes in her legs. And Lacey had no reflexes in her legs. And she was like, oh, are her legs always this cold? And I was like, yeah, this is normal. I'm a first time mum. This is normal. She said, this isn't normal. We need to do more testing. I'm not quite sure what's wrong.
Sou diagnosticada com a deficiência de TK2 e quero compartilhar um pouco da minha jornada com essa condição. Espero que a minha história consiga ajudar outras pessoas a entender melhor como é viver com uma doença mitocondrial como essa.
He actually had the infantile onset of TK2d, so he was diagnosed at a pretty early age. He's been blessed enough to be a part of an amazing clinical trial that has offered us real-life living hope. So instead of him getting floppier and weaker, because he was given just 3 months to live at his diagnosis, here we are today to share more information with you.
I had my first daughter, Lacey, in 2011. She was born, as we thought, was perfectly healthy. She didn't quite reach her first sort of milestones, and I had a few concerns, and I went to my GP and I was kind of fobbed off and told, she's fine, I'm a first time mum, I'm overreacting a little bit. So I phoned up my GP again and I explained, I do have these concerns, I'll come down. And the GP was there's nothing wrong with your baby. And I was like, no, there's something wrong with my baby, I want to have a referral.
Jeremiah started getting super floppy and weak. He started having problems breathing as a child and could no longer lift his head. He became tired all the time, and it was actually just a random fever one day, and then it seemed to all go downhill from there. He was breastfed and he would feed less, and I was extremely concerned, so I reached out to his pediatrician. They actually thought that it was torticollis because he was unable to lift his head much. But then they said he was just being lazy because they were unaware of the disease. Thankfully, our physical therapist, Miss Jessica, was able to guide us to get genetic testing done as well as to see a neurologist.
We had met an incredible doctor at Winchester Hospital who had been on our journey our whole way through, and he'd met Lacey from the off, and he was so incredibly kind to us as a family from the start of our journey, and he was heavily involved with Naomi House as well. He came over from Naomi House, he met us at Southampton Hospital, and he transferred with myself and Lacey in the ambulance to Naomi House. We had a couple of days with Lacey, and then she passed away on Valentine's Day in 2014. It was very peaceful, actually. It was, the worst day of my life, really. But there was nothing else we could do for her, so we just made her as comfortable as we could make her, and we were with her the whole way. So there was a massive storm that night. I remember being a massive storm, and me and Dom always said, well, she's obviously found her legs now, so she's having a party. So we speak about Lacey all the time with the children. They're very aware they have an older sister. I feel super sad for both of my children not to have a big sister, especially Faith. She would adore having a big sister, and I could only imagine the arguments they'd be having, which I would long for.
I don't think there are enough words to describe how I felt in that moment. It was definitely the last thing that I expected to hear, and because I knew nothing of it, I think that made the feeling a little bit more overwhelming. Not knowing what tomorrow is going to look like is my biggest fear, because something as small as a cold can actually make him regress. And what we've noticed, even with him maybe sometimes teething, or if he has a bad day with his allergies or something, it slows him down. I'm always on go, I'm always on the edge, but I've been learning to give myself grace and gratitude in this somewhat of a grief journey. And because I know now that we actually have hope with the research meds, I'm trying to shift my gears a little bit and do a little bit more self-preservation so that I can continue giving him the level of care that he needs.
Só aos 35 anos é que eu recebi o diagnóstico. Foram anos de incerteza, até entender o que eu tinha. Apesar do impacto, ter um nome para a condição me ajudou a buscar mais informações e a me conectar com outras pessoas.
Speaking is probably the main thing that's going to help you get through what you're going through.
Não estamos sozinhos. A gente pode se apoiar e seguir com coragem. Obrigada por me ouvir e por participar dessa corrente de conscientização.
Even though you may have an awful diagnosis, don't let it change your heart and your core, and let love be the guiding force on the journey.